Hi everyone, so my name is Hannah Zakowski, and today we are going to go over some topics about the current rates within our economy here in the United States. And specifically, we're going to go over four. So those are going to be the current unemployment rates, they're going to be the current rate of the economic growth, also known as GDP. We're also going to go over the current rate of inflation. And lastly, we're going to go over the current account of the US right now. So let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about the current unemployment rate. As of January 2025, the US unemployment rate stands at 4.0%, marking a slight decrease from December's 2024 rate of 4.1%. Several factors have influenced the current unemployment rate. The first factor is economic growth. The U.S. economy expanded at a 2.3% annual rate in the fourth quarter of 2024, which was supported by strong consumer spending. The next factor is Federal Reserve policies. The Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes to curb inflation have contributed to economic uncertainties affecting hiring decisions. The next factor is political climate. Political ambiguities, including the aftermath of the 2024 presidential election, have created uncertainties that influence employers' hiring strategies. The last factor is labor market dynamics. A phenomenon dubbed the Big Freeze has emerged, characterized by employees clinging to existing jobs due to fear of instability and employers halting new hires. Historically, the U.S. unemployment rate has averaged around 5.68% from 1948 to 2024, with notable peaks during recessions. For instance, it reached 14.8% in April 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, we're going to talk about the current rate of economic growth. As of the latest data from January 2025, the U.S. economy grew at a 2.3% annual rate in the fourth quarter of 2024. This indicates an expansion phase rather than a recession, as the economy is still experiencing positive growth. This growth rate falls within the range of moderate expansion, signaling that the economy is not in contraction nor in a full recovery from major disruptions like the COVID-19 pandemic. 2.3 GDP growth rate is generally considered a healthy rate for the economy. There are three reasons why. The first reason is sustained growth. A growth rate of around 2% to 3% annually is typical for a mature economy like the US. This rate suggests that the economy is expanding at a sustainable pace without overheating or contracting into a recession. The next reason is balanced economic health. Moderate growth tends to avoid extreme inflation or deflation. In 2024, the U.S. economy showed strong consumer spending, which drove much of this growth, though concerns about inflation still remain. And the Federal Reserve has been actively managing interest rates to curb this. The final reason is that it's not too high but not too low. While higher growth rates can be beneficial, they can also signal sustainable overheating, especially with inflationary pressures. Growth much lower than 2% for extended periods can suggest stagnation or recession. Next, we're going to go over the current rate of inflation. As of January 2025, the U.S. annual inflation rate stands at 3%, up from 2.9% in December of 2024. The Federal Reserve aims for a 2% inflation rate over the long term. The current rate of 3% exceeds this target, indicating that inflation is higher than desired. To address inflation above its 2% target, the Fed may consider the following actions. The first action could be maintaining or increasing interest rates. By keeping interest rates steady or raising them, the Fed can make borrowing more expensive, which may reduce consumer spending and business investment, thereby helping to lower inflation. In its January 2025 meeting, the Fed held interest rates steady at 4.25% to 4.5%. Another action could be reducing asset purchases. The Fed can decrease its holdings of Treasury securities and agency mortgage-backed securities, which can help tighten financial conditions and reduce inflationary pressures. The Fed's decisions will depend on ongoing assessments of economic indicators, including inflation trends, employment data, and overall economic growth. The goal is to balance controlling inflation with supporting economic growth and employment. Lastly, we're going to go over the current account of the U.S. right now. As of the third quarter of 2024, the United States is experiencing a current account deficit of $310.9 billion, marking a 13.1% increase from the previous quarter. This deficit represents 4.2% of the nation's GDP, the highest since the first quarter of 2022. The U.S. current account deficit is not necessarily a bad sign by itself, especially given its strong financial position. However, if it becomes unsustainable or is driven by unproductive factors, it could become a concern. And with that, we have reached the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed learning a lot about our country's current rates within the economy and have a better understanding about it as well. Have a blessed day, stay curious always, and bye.